sunshine. Welcome back to my channel, Alex in the Sunlight. I'm Alex and I'm so happy to see you. The purpose of today's video is to check in and gain some insight, see what messages Spirit has for us, some advice, and some just general overall messages that Spirit really wants us to hear. We've got 3 piles today. Group 1, rose quartz, group 2, amethyst, and group 3, selenite. If you've already chosen your pile, that's totally fine, but if you could just humor me and close your eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose, filling the chest and the belly with air. And as you exhale, ask your angels, your spirit guides, or your higher self to aid you in choosing the correct pile for you so that when you open your eyes, the one you are drawn to first is the right one. Okay, let's get started. Hey, group number 1, those of you who chose rose quartz. So, what I'm seeing is that you guys are dealing with some kind of betrayal, and it's really leaving you kind of sad and just like feeling dejected, and like it's really hit your confidence within yourself. But I also feel like you've been dealing with issues of self-esteem. That might be one of like your biggest hurdles in life, is your self-esteem. And so you end up, choosing people or places or things that are actually toxic to you because, like, as a form of self-betrayal or as a form of self-denial, like denying who you actually are. So you choose to be around people who can't actually foster, you in your highest and truest form. Or maybe, you're dealing with people who have been keeping secrets or have felt like they could get away with things, like you're not really going to stick up for yourself, so they, feel like they can just do what they want when it comes to, your time, attention, and love. I feel like you guys have maybe just been going through this kind of issue for so long that like you aren't really seeing how much power you have in the situation, and you might be thinking like the grass is greener, like everybody else can feel good about themselves and everybody else has really nice relationships, but you don't. But I feel like, keep in mind that we are ending the decade, that a new day is dawning. So if this final shake up, this final betrayal or clashing or whatever it is that just happened, it's probably showing, they're trying to show you, like, the message is like, you really have to start loving yourself. You really have to start paying attention to how worthy and beautiful you are, because your lack of self-worth has caused you to choose these people, places, and things that end up harming you, right? Because what you need to start doing is realizing that you are at your most beautiful, your most vibrant, and your most attractive when you are being yourself. If there are people that you are around that say the opposite, it is a choice to be around them, even if they're your family, right? You don't have to succumb to this idea that, like, you have to deal with BS because it's your family. And hopefully you can either put some distance between you and those toxic people in your life, or if you live with them, hopefully you can making necessary changes, making necessary moves away from those situations. The solutions will come to you when you've done the, or not even when you've done the work, when you've just made the decision that, like, you're worth more than what you've been given. You're worth more than what you've allowed yourself to attract. But the overall thing is getting your confidence either back, or just cultivating it from, the beginning, from, a tiny seed, planting that seed and watering it, nurturing yourself. Like I said, you're not giving yourself enough credit for all of the power you actually have in this situation. You pay attention to signs, pay attention to red flags in people, and even in yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you've spent all day downing yourself, or like hunched over, or like just being mean to yourself in any kind of a way, understand that has like a huge effect on your life and how you live it, right? So you're going to need to turn that around, and Spirit is trying to tell you that you have it in you to turn it around. You're so beautiful, you're so worthy, you're so loved. And then there's people that are waiting for you, right? Stop worrying about it, whose grass is greener, and just start tending to your own lawn. If you are, putting yourself in situations that send the message to you that you don't deserve happiness, how are you supposed to find it, right? So you're these are the changes that need to be made, like celebrating yourself, write on your mirror in some kind of, dry erase marker or lipstick or something. I am enough. I am worthy. I am beautiful. So you see it every day. Set a reminder on your phone. Send yourself little notes throughout the day. Put little stickers all over your place or your room saying how, wonderful you are. Affirm yourself, right? I know that's easier said than done, especially if you're right in the thick of it right now. So, take this time to grieve or to, cry or whatever it is that you have to do right now. But then know that on the other side of that, you're going to pick yourself back up. You're going to start cultivating self-esteem and confidence, and, being more in the authentic truth of who you are. Because I feel like even though you guys may be in like a rough patch right now, you're actually naturally quite vibrant and probably goofy, and probably, like, I feel like you guys need to dance. Like, I feel like you guys need to do things that are just like effervescent, you know what I mean? But Spirit knows that you're in a bit of a rough spot right now, because you've got the despair card. So I just want to read to you what it says, and this is kind of like a prayer that you can say. So if you want to like repeat this: I need your divine intercession right now, O Great Spirit. Lift this darkness from my soul. Free me from this burden. Open me to your highest plan. May I be a peaceful vessel for your love. Yeah. You're not going through anything for no reason. It's going to bring you, this is like that lesson that I feel like a year or two down the line from now, you're going to be like, that's what I needed. That was the catalyst to get me to feeling as good as I do about myself right now, right? Because oftentimes, especially if you're thinking the grass is greener, you might be looking at other people thinking how wonderful their lives are, but you'd be just surprised at how low a lot of people start, or how many people have to hit rock bottom in order to get to these really high highs, right? Especially when it comes to the way that we look. If you guys have issues with your body image and stuff like that, we don't live in a society that's, like, to put it mildly, encouraging about our self-image. So, unless it's to make money, right? People will feign positivity over self-image when there's money involved. So that could also be like this deceptive energy where it's just like you're not really sure how you're supposed to feel good about you when you're looking out at the world and you're like, well, does that even look like and mean? You're gonna have to go inward. Spirit wants you to go inward and start making those decisions and finding those paths for yourself. You don't need to look out, you need to look in. And the last card you pulled is Sacral Chakra. And it says, the frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. Yeah, so you guys are going to go through this period, but you're going to come out stronger in love for yourself, and then from that space you're going to start manifesting the things that it is that you actually want, people, places, things, the relationships that you actually want. It's waiting for you. And I'm sorry that you're going through this little rough patch, but it's not going to last. It's not going to last. And just as a reminder, again, you are beautiful. You are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are amazing, you are deserving. Okay? But that's all I've got for you guys, group number 1. I really hope the reading resonated. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like this video, subscribe so we can spend more time together, follow me on Instagram, and consider becoming a patron over my Patreon page. It's a really great way to support this channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your time and your energy with me. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hey, group number 2, those of you who chose amethyst. All right, so I really feel like Spirit really needs you to know that you got this. You're stronger than you think you are. I know that this is like a general reading, but I feel like overwhelmingly for a lot of you, you're dealing with maybe some kind of illness or an injury of some kind, something that's left you feeling trapped. Like, I just get this feeling of like, maybe you have some kind of flu and it's like debilitating, like you're like bedridden, but you're trying to get out there, you're trying to do your job, you're trying to pay these bills, you're trying to make up for lost time over the holidays. Like, this is like in your head, this is the worst thing that could happen right now, this is the worst time for you to be getting sick. Or maybe you hurt a limb or broke something, and you're like, this is the worst thing that could happen. Why would I break my leg right now? Or things of that nature. It's not super important for you to try and figure out the lesson in this right now. What's important for you to do is to not give up. What's important is for you to not lose faith. A lot of your suffering is mental. I'm not saying that you're not physically suffering, because like I said, for a lot of you, I really feel like you might be if you're sick or if you injured yourself. But I feel like you're adding, salt to the wound by your mind and all of the things that you're afraid of, the things that you're spinning in your head, and feeling trapped. And you're like, I feel like you guys are worried about money. Like, you're like, oh, this couldn't have happened at a worse time. Like, how am I supposed to get this and this and this done? Spirit wants you to know that everything is going to be fine. You are going to be provided for. This is a lesson, right? And like I said, this doesn't need to be something that you figure out while it's happening. It's something I feel like you're going to know after the fact. Like, there's been times like twice in my life where me personally, I was over exercising, and so I hurt myself, and then I realized at the end of it, like, oh. And it was like, that's a definitely like a very vague example, but I just mean that, like, it can sometimes be that simple, but in the moment it doesn't feel that way. In the moment you're like, I can't miss work, or I need to be able to take care of myself. If I feel like some of you may have, partners or roommates in your life, but you don't really want to ask them for help. Or maybe some of you don't have, partners or roommates, so you're like, how am I supposed to be bedridden if there's no one that can help me? But I promise you, if this is to do with like an ailment of some kind, it's trying to bring you closer to your body, to your circumstance, to, the feeling of having your own back no matter what happens. Oftentimes, when things like this happen to us, we start realizing how little leeway we give ourselves, how unkind we can be to ourselves, how fallible we are, and how disappointed we are that we aren't robots, that we are, that we aren't these infallible beings. It's like, no, this is a reminder, like, you are human. You will have downtime, you will have days where it's unclear the way forward, but there is a way forward. And like I said, you will be provided for, you will be protected, but you came here to learn. We all came here to learn. We're humans. We came here to mess up, to screw up, and to figure it out as we go. So don't be so hard on yourself, I feel like is a huge message for this too. And if this doesn't have to do with an injury or anything, if this is like you feeling trapped in a job you hate, or you feeling trapped in a home situation you dislike, or you feeling trapped in a relationship, you aren't trapped. You've got this 8 of Swords, and this is a different deck, so this imagery is different. But in the Rider-Waite deck, if you're familiar with that, right? It's a person, they are kind of tied up, blindfolded, surrounded by these swords, but there's one that's over here. So they could walk forward if they wanted to. And I feel like the overall thing about the Eight of Swords, like to me, it's almost even worse than, you know, like a Nine of Swords or like a Ten of Swords, because the Eight of Swords is like it's in your mind, right? Your biggest obstacle is you. Because what if you, like, this may freak some of you out, but like, what if you just had faith that you would get the help that you needed? What if you had faith that this will work out? You know, what if you realize that you're not trapped? What if this isn't about trapping you? What if this is about like forcing you to take some time off? What if this is about forcing you to take a break whereas before you wouldn't, right? And this is also kind of like about resiliency. Like you've got camel here, and camels, you know, traveling out in the desert, just being in the desert, it's like not knowing when you're going to get a sip of water again, but they're still there and they still keep going, right? So it's like, I feel like that's the energy that's needed of you right now, is like, I'm not sure when my next sip of water is going to be, but I know it'll come. And I know it'll get here before it's too late, right? Trusting that the universe isn't going to throw you into situations where you're just, you know, left for dead. You know what I'm saying? But you've pulled the health card, so I really feel like this has to do with, you know, you taking time for your health, you prioritizing yourself, and like I said, getting a closer connection with your body. But the card says, allow me, divine, to be tender and accepting of my body, no matter what ailments I may have. May I always know it's doing the best that it can. Help me be a loving ally and friend to this sacred form. Yeah, so you guys might be like in a bit of a kicking and screaming type of mode, but what this is asking of you is to soften, is to be gentle, is to treat yourself as you would a best friend. Because if your best friend got sick, or if your best friend hurt themselves, you wouldn't be like, oh, stupid, what are you supposed to do about your bills? Oh man, you can't just sit here in bed. And if you would do that, I mean, that's questionable. But like, what I mean is, we tend to be softer, we tend to be more compassionate with those we love. So start turning some of that energy inward. So if it's too hard for you to be compassionate to yourself, think of yourself in the third person, think of yourself as a best friend, and go from there. Start treating yourself, start talking to yourself in that way, and go from there. And like I said, having faith. This is really about having faith, because you've got the belief card, 11, and it says, the frequency of belief supports our sense of self-worth based on our gifts and talents and a strong connection to source. You're not alone. You're not incapable. Just because you're down now doesn't mean you won't get back up again. Getting yourself into a tight spot doesn't mean that you are inept or, a bad person. You're a person. You're human. This is reminding you that you're a human. But as well as you are human, you are also a part of source. You are also a part of spirit. So have some faith through this and take care of yourself. That's what's needed. And if you keep, with the negative self-talk, or if you keep with the negative mindset, you're just making yourself suffer more. So really turn that around and say, okay, like, this is the situation that it is. So how can I do the best with what I have right now? Okay? You can do it. You got this. Like I said at the beginning, you got this. But that's all I've got for you guys, group number 2. I really hope the reading resonated. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like this video, subscribe so we can spend more time together. Follow me on Instagram at Alex in the Sunlight. Consider becoming a patron over my Patreon page. It's a great way to support this channel, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hey, group number 3, those of you who chose selenite. Okay, so a couple of things are coming through. I feel like you guys have probably been working on some projects over the year, and now your focus is shifting, or there needs to be a shift, but I feel like it's already happening, towards more family time and time spent like being a kid again. I feel like you guys are very emotional and very sensitive right now, and that just may be a part of your personality. So, like I said, there's a couple of things, needing to go back to childlike ways of being. You might feel really nostalgic. You might be remembering, things about your childhood, happy memories, a simpler time, or you might be hanging out with old friends, or like I said, family. I feel like there's an emphasis on family. And there's also this, like I was saying, you've been working on something and you've been striving, you've been pushing, and it's kind of like slowing down because there's a need to like to be in it for the long haul, not necessarily like short-term gain, not necessarily like 0 to 60. It's just more so like, okay, what I'm building, if I want it to last, I need to take my time, build it slowly, brick by brick, piece by piece, instead of like putting yourself on a timeline. There's this message of like timelessness. And I feel like we feel that most strongly when we're little. So it's like all coming in together, it's all tying in together, this need to return to that more innocent, that more wondrous space in your mind, even if it was just in your mind, because I'm not saying that everybody had like a really awesome childhood. It's just more so like, the essence of being a child, of of being curious about everything feeling new, everything being full of possibility. And our imagination is so much more potent then. Our imagination is so much like more in tune and more attuned to the universe. Like, we don't have so many limits on things, right? We're, especially when we play pretend. Like, I feel like this is reminding me of when you're little and you're playing pretend, and it doesn't really matter that there's no water here, or that the ground is just ground. You can pretend that it's hot lava, right? Or you can pretend that you're in the ocean and you're sailing at sea, or you're a princess in a tower, or those types of things. There's a need to like recall those powers. There's a need to recall those, that sense of wonder and that sense of awe, and like boundless imagination. You know what I mean? Because that will aid you in whatever personal projects you're trying to get off the ground. But like I said, spirit wants you to resolve and decide that you're in this for the long haul, that this isn't about a quick or instant gratification. And, if you have a really good relationship with your family, spend time with your family. You don't need to get too bogged down in like, if there's family issues and that may bring up a lot of emotions for you. Understand and know when to set clear and healthy boundaries. Understand and know when to walk away from something that feels too overwhelming, or that you may be too emotionally invested in, and you may need to like come back at it later. If your emotions and sensitivity is really high right now, instead of reacting to so many things, take the time to respond. A lot of this is about taking your time. You don't have to rush through anything. You're not on a deadline either. You've got the striving card here. So I just want to read to you what it says. It says, eventually, the individual ego's drive to make things happen falls away, replaced with a relaxed, trusting openness to answers as they arise. Thank you, Divine, for letting me move with the flow. Yeah, and I feel like also that's a part of moving with the flow, is like, in your day to day, you should take some time out to do things that you liked when you were a kid. And deliberately, making space for your creative juices to flow and being mindful about what's going on. Like I said, I feel like you guys might be feeling very emotional, you might be feeling very empathetic, but like, be mindful. You don't have to get swept away with the tide, you know what I'm saying? I think that you guys should, take the time to do little creative things, like maybe write a short story, or paint and use your fingers, or color, or things like that. Just so that you can kind of get out of any like heavy emotions that may be lingering, especially after the holidays, if it was a pretty emotional time for you. There's like this sense of like, you are always growing, you are always learning. You guys are probably very wise. So tap into some of that innate wisdom, because wisdom isn't anxious. It's not rushing. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's a need for you guys to feel like a timelessness. You've got soul time here. So I just want to read to you what the card says. The frequency of soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge, one that embraces the concept that while the corporal body is mortal, the soul is timeless, limitless, and infinite. Yeah, so, and then I just also got the message that maybe some of this heaviness or this emotion you feel is because you might have lost a loved one over the holidays, or, an elder in the family may have passed. Remember that, that their energy it lives on, right, within you. And there's no need to be sad when people pass. Like, they're going to a much more peaceful state, right? They don't have to deal with all the contrast in the earthly realm anymore. So kind of try and be glad and be joyous, and just cling to the happy memories you have, and cling to the family that you still have around you, the bonds that are still, in the physical realm. Grieve and do everything that you need to. Feel all of your feelings. You don't need to suppress them. You don't need to try and shove them down. But it's just, a reminder that you can focus on that loving energy, that care, that the way that you care for people. Create space for them to live on in your heart, right? And also to just remind you, like what I kept saying, timelessness. You're not on a deadline. Be in it for the long haul, whatever it is. Okay? Spend time doing things that you liked to do when you were a kid, and spend time with close family members, or, whoever it is that you love. Stop pushing. You don't have to push, okay? But that's all I've got for you guys, group number 3. I really hope the reading resonated. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like this video, subscribe so we can spend more time together. Follow me on Instagram at Alex in the Sunlight. Consider becoming a patron over on my Patreon page. It's a great way to support this channel, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye.